Hello and welcome back to Seconds Out. My name is Eamon Khan here with top trainer Dave Coldwell to dissect last night's action. Dave, good to see you. I'll let you take the stage and go straight into this. Last night, what did you see unfold before your eyes in the main event between Anthony Joshua and Daniel Dubois?
First of all, what a spectacle. You know, I'm so glad that I was there to see the whole spectacle, the show, the production were fantastic. And then, after ring walks like that and production like that, fireworks, you want the main event to deliver. And it really did. It really did. Heavyweight fights, you want to see explosive punching, you want to see drama, you want to see knockdowns. We got that, but it was really one-sided. I always said that I thought Dubois had the power, had the jab to be able to beat AJ, but I fancied AJ to win it. I thought AJ's speed and the defensive gaps that Dubois seems to leave, I thought would be exploited. But it was the other way around. I thought the defensive mistakes that AJ made completely gave the fight to Dubois. Dubois' jab was the key. Straight away established it, and it made AJ make the mistakes. I think. I've always been a big fan of Dubois' body punching. I thought that was going to be key in the fight, but he didn't even have to go to the body. He didn't actually go to the body when he backed AJ up against the ropes or anything like that. He was just headhunting all the way through, and he was still he literally bludgeoned and bullied AJ into defeat. It was very one-sided, and the ending was brutal.
If we switch focus first of all to Anthony Joshua, what of his offering? What did you see from him? Because after the fact, he said, "Look, I took the big shot, and from there it was hard for me to recover. It was hard for me to establish my game plan." He maybe found his footing in that final round where he then did land on the ball, but that was his undoing. But from an age offering, what did you see from him in the ring last night?
I just saw a man that struggled to cope with the jab. Listen, the jab is the best punch in the world. It's the best punch in boxing, and when it's delivered with accuracy and it's delivered with power as well, like that, it completely unsettled AJ. It couldn't take it away. I think that was a big key going in this fight, is making sure that Daniel couldn't establish his jab. And round one straight away, he's establishing it. He's dictating the turf because of his jab. And it was the going back in a straight line, lifting up and dropping of the hands. I can't believe where his hand positioning was and where his head positioning was when he gets caught with that right hand. And like AJ is saying there, what you're saying, I haven't seen the interviews, but it's like, if that's what AJ is saying, he gets caught with a shot, never fully recovers, and he's having to then react and trying to fight through perhaps not being 100% because of the damage that first shot did. So let's not forget, he took left hooks on the side of the head as well. It wasn't just like one shot; he was taking a lot of shots there. Off a very, very, very heavy-handed puncher in Daniel Dubois. So you can understand why maybe perhaps he's fighting through a fog, why perhaps he's not doing things that he perhaps wanted to do. But also there's a man in there that's stopping him from being able to do what he wanted to do. I presume they knew, from round one that Daniel's got a good jab. So they'll have hoped that what they were doing would take away that jab. But Daniel's better with a jab, and he established it, and that's what it is. And this is boxing. You can have all the ideas that you want going into a fight, but you've got to remember that guy is there to get off what he wants to get off and stop you from negating that. And Daniel's jab was just better than AJ's defense to it. I've lost you.
Muted there. Yeah, my bad. Token item there for the listeners. So how difficult is it for a fighter to draw themselves back to any tactics that they plan for pre-fight when you're drawn into what looked like to be a firefight, a shootout from the off there?
Depends on how you are as a character, how you are, how you've trained. Some fighters are more defensive minded or more wary for that. Say, for instance, Andre Ward gets dropped round one against Kovalev, heavyweight. He's getting beat up with that jab, and then he gets nailed and he gets knocked down with the right hand. He doesn't go out there to try with fire. It takes a round or two to try and take that away. What is my opponent having success with? How do I take that away? That's what the focus is then. Take that away, stop that from landing, and then we got 12 rounds. Then we can build back into the fight. If you don't know how to do that, or if you haven't got the mentality to be able to do that, or sometimes it's not, I don't mean discipline in a bad way. I'll say this to my fighters. It's part of being disciplined is when the shit hits the fan, or you're tired, you still make the right decisions to get through those rough spots. That's another form of discipline. People think, oh, when you're saying discipline, it means that you're just doing what you want. No, it's just controlling the mind to be able to make the right decisions. And if you can't do that, then it just makes it harder, and also leaves you, you less chance of actually getting through the tough spots. And also it's got to be something that you're comfortable with, and it's got to be something that you can do, and it's got to be something that perhaps you practice. I don't know if that's what AJ practices. What happens when I'm in trouble? What, little basic things like where I've always thought, you get caught with a good shot, just stop the next one, as in stop it by any means necessary. That means grab hold. If I just put my hands here when I'm under fire, the guy can punch through my gloves. Even if it hits, if I'm wobbled and it hits hair, I'm still getting hit secondary. I can get knocked off balance, and then a clean shot can come through. Whereas as soon as I get hit with a shot, if I can hold tight, just stop it. Be too close. Just stop the attack. Gives me a few seconds to get through. Little things like that. But not everybody will be able to do that. But it's something that I would think that if you are a fighter that does get hurt in fights or has been hurt in fights, then you should always look to prepare just in case I get tagged again. It's not about ego and say, I'm never going to get hurt, you can't hurt me, or whatever. People know this is boxing, especially in heavyweight boxing. Anyone can get hurt by anybody. Everybody's got a chance, which is why you see upsets like Buster Douglas knocking out Mike Tyson, like Ruiz knocking out AJ, because everybody's got a chance, so you always have to prepare for that.
There was a lot of conversation in the build-up as to, should Joshua get tagged, that it might draw him back to a place that he's been before and doesn't want to return to. You answered that a little bit in your last question, but was what you saw in the ring an anti-Joshua who was aware that he might be in that firefighting and maybe didn't want to be drawn into that again?
I'll be honest with you, I'd have to watch it. I haven't watched it back yet on TV, but I'm in the stands, so if you can appreciate that, I perhaps don't see the characteristics on the faces and see, the body language or anything like that. But no, I think he still tried to win the fight. I don't think he went into a shell. Listen, this is, we talk about human beings. If he got hit and if he got hurt really badly in that first round, if he did, he gets dropped. But if he, you have flash knockdowns that you don't really think about them, or you get shots that actually, my legs are fucked, my legs are gone. If it's a case of that, you're naturally going to be a bit more defensive minded, or you're gonna be more wary. You might not feel as though you can land your shot. I think a couple of times AJ threw a right hand and Dubois just took a little step back, took it away. He was throwing his jab and he was falling short a little bit. And if you're feeling vulnerable and if you're just missing, makes you not want to throw because you don't want to get tagged. What happened? He catches him with a good right hand, wobbles Dubois, runs onto him, doesn't think about what's coming back, gets clipped with a shot first, doesn't react to that and think, oh, I best be fucking smart here. He still throws this uppercut from the wrong distance and gets knocked out. But he went for it. He gambled. He went for it. He thought, I'm losing here. Here's the opportunity. I might not get another opportunity. Go for it. He went for it. Fair play to him. He went out on his shield. He tried. And when he got Polex, he still tried to get up. Can't knock him. He still tried. He got hit with a hell of a shot, walked onto it, and still tried to get up. You know, got nothing but respect for him for that. Nothing but respect for him. Listen, when you've we've seen it so many times with fighters that have come from nothing, made a lot of money, and then got hit with shots, and they've gone down, and you know they could have got up, and they've just been counted out and not tried to get up. You know, we've seen that with even tough Mexicans. I've seen it where they've looked like you can see that hunger, that determination's gone. You know, and Joshua's made more than most. He's had some unbelievable nights, and he's in that fire there last night, and he still tried to get up. Couldn't get up, but he still tried to get up. So full respect for him.
Talk of a rematch here possible on the AJ side. They can execute a rematch clause. Talk of a Fury fight as well in the future, regardless of what happens in the Usyk rematch. What do you think of those two? The prospects of victory for AJ in those two fights?
I don't think an immediate rematch is something that he should go for. I know he did it with Ruiz, but in Andy Ruiz, he had the physical advantages. He made a mistake where he hurts Ruiz and just walks in blindly and gets Polex with a shot that changed the whole fight. With Dubois, he's not got the physical advantages as such. You know, he's not. Is he stronger? No. Does he have the better jab? No. You know, also we've got to understand that in Dubois is a fighter that just seems to be growing with each fight, growing with each victory. Even he's even grown from his couple of defeats, but he's growing as a fighter. He's very, very young, and he's got a lot of growth left in him. And we've seen how hesitant AJ can be, how much of a rebuild it's taken after his other losses. So unless he literally has no fear whatsoever of losing and has zero fucks given about the way that he got beat, then I think there might be some demons that are in there if he goes straight in. And if he gets hit straight away with that jab, it'll be like, whoa. So I don't think immediate rematch. But then again, it could do. You don't know. I don't know. In terms of a Fury fight, listen, the Fury fight is a perfect example to. We've seen it in each generation. We had Hatton, Witter. We've had all sorts of fights in the past. You know, at peak, Tyson versus Lewis didn't happen until, you know, one of them were well past it. AJ Fury should have happened. And whether it's promoters, managers, fighters that were just wanting extra zeros on end and you know, being difficult to deal with or whatever, for whatever reason, we were robbed of the greatest British fight in history, I think. Is it still a massive fight? Shit, yeah. 100%. But now you've got two fighters that look very, very vulnerable. So it's still an intriguing fight because does Tyson Fury punch like Daniel Dubois? No. No, he doesn't. You know, is Tyson Fury vulnerable himself when he gets hit now? Well, you can say yeah. Because obviously Ngannou drops him, but Usyk had him bad. So that fight is still a fight that people are still going to want to see. So I would say you have to make that fight just so about it. You know, we had Kell Brook and Amir Khan years after the peak, and it was still a great fight. Anticipated, you know, people still wanted it. Everybody was excited about it. It turned out to be very, very one-sided. But these, you know, I always said going into that fight, it was who's got what left. And it could be kind of like that for this, but it'll still be a good fight while it lasts. So I would say that's the fight. At least, you know, it might not be the fight it once was, but it's still the fight that I think people want to see.
There is another option for Anthony Joshua, and that is to potentially look to hang up the gloves. He said he doesn't want to do that. He wants to continue, and I'm not certainly calling for that. However, there will be some sectors of the boxing public that will call for that. How much behind the scenes do you think that will be discussed, once the dust is settled on the fight?
If people are honest with him, if he's got everybody that just kisses his ass around him, then nobody will want to bring that up, because there's plenty of people that make a lot of money from AJ fighting. He's a big business. But there will be one or two people that are around him, and he's got I know he's got close friends around him. So they may be the ones that turn around and say, do you know what? It's been a great ride. Are you sure you want to just ask him the question? Are you sure you want to carry on boxing for the right reasons? If you want to carry on boxing for the right reasons, go on. Fair enough. He's it's not like there are fighters out there that should be done and aren't done and carrying on. So if Anthony Joshua wants to carry on, then so be it. But it's got to be for the right reasons. And there is people around him that are close to him. He's got a lot. He has got some good people around him that have been around from day one, and maybe one or two of them will have a conversation with him, just to make sure it is for the right reason, because you've had a great run. Don't do it for the wrong reasons. You're just being tarnished and just somebody's getting your name on the record. So we'll see. That's his decision, and he's. I look at somebody like him, and no matter what people have said, no matter what, myself included, doubts people have had and things like that, look at the career he's had. Look at what he's done. Look at what he's built. Look at the legacy he's left. People want to diminish it and things like that, but he's had a hell of a career. He's done a hell of a lot for British boxing. A lot of fighters have had a huge leg up and earned some serious money because of the AJ effect. From the beginning, how he started. Him and listen, you got to give Eddie a lot of credit for that. Eddie's backed his corner quite aggressively all the way through the ups and downs and everything, stuck by him. And together they created an absolute juggernaut. And there's been some unbelievable nights, and I've been witness to some unbelievable nights. I've had a great crack, following AJ's career. I've had Hopi Price box on his undercard. I've had Bellew box on his undercards. I've been privileged to have got something out of the AJ train myself. It's been, and you look at on the wider scope for British boxing, you look at what he brought to Sky, you look at the generation of fans that came along to boxing events. 98,000 people there last night. I've looked at the undercard, an unbelievable undercard, but look at how empty it was. How empty that was for some great fights. And then AJ Dubois comes on, and then look at it. There's not many fighters that can do that. There's not many fighters. So, we need to respect what he's done throughout his career. And he's been a good role model for a lot of people. Not outside boxing, just how he is, like how he looks after himself in between fights. Majority of fighters all get fat in between fights and do this and do that. How many times have you seen AJ pissed up, in a bad way in between fights and stuff like that, and then getting back into camp? No, he's been a very, very good professional. So if he chose to call it a day, fantastic. You've had a great career, mate. Well done. But if he doesn't, and he chooses to carry on for the right ways, right reasons, then there you go. This division, one thing you got to understand about this heavyweight division right now, it's wide open. Everybody looks beatable. So you don't know. You just don't know yet right now who's going to be world champion in a year's time, in 18 months' time. Look at how it is. So who knows?
Switch our attention to Daniel Dubois for a moment before we close out. Just wanted to ask you, you kind of dissected as to how he got the victory so conclusively against Anthony Joshua, but how much was that down to how much power he carries in both hands, and where would you rank his power in amongst the heavyweight division with Wilder now seemingly a lot more reserved to throw that right.
He's got very, very heavy hands, hasn't he? I mean, thankfully I've never been hit off him. So I couldn't tell you, I couldn't vouch what kind of power it is, whether it's like lightning power or whether it's that thudding power. He looks like it's a thud every shot that hits you, you're going to feel. I'm told by a lot of people that have been in the ring with him that said that his jab is so heavy and so hurtful. It's like a right hand. He's definitely one of the most powerful fighters out there. And he's very young. He's got a great future. He's still crude. You can't, I'm not making out to feel he's all slick, but not every fighter has to be slick and sharp shooting. And he is very. It's like a train coming at you, but he's only going to get better. He's got a great future ahead of him, and Don Charles has done an absolutely fantastic job on him, not just physically but mentally. Don's an old school coach, an old school trainer. Been around the game a long, long time, and he's getting his rewards with Daniel right now.
How does he fare in the rematch against Usyk? And Fury said, "Look, if I want undisputed, I'll have to go through Daniel next, so a potential Fury and Dubois fight as well."
Great fights. We saw. I'll be honest with you. I think if Usyk beats Fury again, I think Usyk rides off into the sunset.
Yeah.
I think he's got nothing to prove. He's got nothing. Usyk being in with these big guys takes a lot out of him because he's not a natural big guy. He's a cruiserweight that's put on weight to go to heavyweight, and he's the size, the presence of these fellas leaning all over him, clumping around the side of their heads to the body. It's wear and tear at this age as well. So I don't think Usyk carries on after Fury. Dubois versus Fury, this stage, great fight. But you can't say it. Frank Warren's backed his man unbelievably. You think about how well looked after, managed, promoted this kid's been. After he's, I think was it after the Joyce fight, and then you see where Joyce's career was, and you see where Daniel gets a shot at, and he's been backed. He's always believed in him, and he's been developed, and look at where he is now. So it's been a good story. It's been a good story, and I think there's a lot of exciting chapters that are left. He's a different personality, he's a different character to what Joshua is. He doesn't want to. You can see in the interview after his greatest night last night, didn't really want to. I've seen a clip of that. He didn't really want to speak after that. But it's he's a fighter first and foremost. That's all he's interested in, and as long as he's, I think he does keep his feet on the ground and he does keep listening to Don, then he's in for some great nights in the future.
Very last thing, just from what you saw of the undercard, what really stuck out in your mind as to some of the victories and maybe some of the final times we might see some fighters in the ring?
Got to give Josh Warrington credit for you saying that. He's had a great career. I hadn't heard anything, but saw him lay his gloves in the centre of the ring and think, so that's kind of like, I kind of took that as always saying, that's me done, leaving my gloves in the ring. Unbelievable career. Has seen Josh Warrington from when he was on Steve Wood shows, non-TV shows coming through. Another great example of showing that you don't have to be picked up at the start of your career by the big promoters. Get yourself a fan base, work hard at it, work at your craft in the gym, and then when you get your opportunities, take them. That's what he's done. He's had a brilliant career. It's always sad when an era comes to an end, when a fighter that you've watched all the way through comes to an end. But Anthony Kakashi was he's a problem in that division. Good fighter. It's nice to see him getting his time in the sunlight as well, because he's been chipping away. People in the gyms have been talking about him, and on the circuit we all know about him, but the wider scope have never heard of Anthony Kakashi until his last couple of fights. Gets his opportunity, takes him. I saw the last half of Boatzy and Hutchinson. That looked like a good fight. I can't wait to watch that back. I'm pleased for Boatzy, but it looked like Willie, showed plenty of balls in there. Great fight, and he's got more big fights in that division as well himself. He's some character. He's some character. Willie Hutchinson. I'm watching him on the build-up and the presses and things like that. He's the kind of guy that on the outside, when you've got nothing to do with the fight, he's wicked. I love to watch him. He's funny. But if you're coming up against him, he would drive you absolutely crackers. Boxing needs characters. And I know he went through a lot of dark places over the last couple of years, and he's come through and he's changed his life, and that fight will have done him the world of good as well. He'll improve from that if he learns from it. Need to see Boatsy in a big fight now. He needs to be fighting in that world title mix now. I know the belts are taken up by a couple of very good fighters, right? But
never heard of them.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one, by the way. But yeah, he needs to be in some big global fights now, in the division. If not, fighting the winner of those two. What else was there? Was the Shiraz? That's a good result, by the way. That is a really good result. He's a problem. I'm looking forward to seeing what comes next for him. Josh Padley. Yeah. I've had Josh Padley in my gym sparring Stephen Cairns for the last few years, and I've watched. I've always thought I think he's a scaffolder, if I'm right. We've always said he's got that scaffolder strength. He's a strong kid, and I've always thought, you look at his record and it looks like he can't punch, but when he's sparring, he's a strong kid, physical kid, and he does crack harder than what his record says. And I watched him last night, and he put on a great performance. I think there's elements to Chamberlain believing in his own hype a little bit, which comes to a lot of fighters when they get on a good roll. And I think he was caught surprised about how good Padley was, how he was tricky and difficult to nail. Walked onto a shot himself. Really good performance from Padley, but Chamberlain, that it's fights like that. I know at the time it's not a good thing to get beat, but you take it the right way, he'll learn from that. Comes back a better fighter. Him and Sam Noakes is still a great fight. So that was a good fight as well. That was about it, really. I think
so, unless I'm missing anything egregious from the fight list. Josh Kelly and Ishmael Davis.
Yeah, I thought Kelly boxed really well. Did what he wanted to do. The pace of Ishmael's feet allowed him to do what he wanted to do. And I thought Davis had put it on him more to the body than what he did. I think he'll be kicking himself a little bit because he got in the last round there. It looked like Kelly was going to fall apart. If that had happened a couple of rounds before, it'd have been interesting. But Davis coming in at something like 6 days' notice showed that it showed what he can do. He's definitely one to keep an eye out for the future. Good fighter, just needs to grow in a couple of different areas. But he's got a good future. As for Kelly, slick. Did I learn anything new about Josh? No. Slick, sharp shooting, likes to box at his own pace. I'm still unsure on what happens when somebody catches up with him and starts rattling a few shots off him. He has that, just has that air of vulnerability a little bit. But a very, very good boxer. A very, very good boxer. As long as you don't get caught and don't have to work as hard as outside of what he wants to do, then he's a very, very good fighter.
Dave, thoroughly appreciate your breakdown of the fights from last night. Thanks so much for speaking to the Seconds. I'll let you enjoy the rest of your Sunday without seeing my mug at the end of your computer screen. Much appreciated, sir. Catch you very soon.
Cheers,